Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and this is going to be a Cardano ADA video. It's going to be a rather joyous one, as I've got some good news to share with you. You know, we've been threatening to do a Cardano ADA price update or price analysis video for a while now, and the day has finally arisen. We've been getting out some great Cardano content. We were probably the first people to report on the developers within the Cardano community who were looking to facilitate Python smart contracts on Cardano. This is huge news. That video is still up there. And we're going to be covering side chains next because I think this is how layer ones compete with layer zeros. But we will cover all of that probably this week and in a lot more detail. This is going to be specifically price orientated, and for the first time in over a year we bought some Cardano, ladies and gentlemen. And behind me, this is from my Patreon. I don't want to go into too much detail. Anybody who's interested in joining my Patreon and joining a community of like-minded individuals who are as passionate and as zealous about crypto and blockchain as I am, and really focused on investing and getting these cycles right, and what to invest in, you can feel free to check the link in the description and join the Patreon. But I'm showing this as kind of, in the crypto space, people can say this and they can say that, but the proof's always in the pudding. I saw people, lots of people claiming that, this is the bottom and they've called it. And that's not what I'm doing in this video. I'm not saying this is the bottom for Cardano, but what I'm saying is that for the first time in a long time, we actually saw Cardano's price assess the overall situation, the macro picture, which is what's driving everything, and said, actually, let's dip our toes in here. And that's what we've done. And actually, on the 5th of January, we held a discussion where we essentially looked at the potential of buying some cryptos here. And I can confirm, and I will reveal, that Cardano was one of those cryptos. And anybody, again, that wants to join the Patreon, link in the description. That's really the last time I'm going to mention it. But it's certainly something that if I could go back to 2017 and have found a group like the one that we're now putting together and a community like the one that we've created, it would have been an absolute godsend. We mitigated the market and played the market very well last year. And actually, we're looking to do the same thing this year. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, guys, is normalize my screen. So forgive me, you're going to see some darkness behind you. Although this isn't supposed to be a joyous, uplifting video. Buying Cardano felt amazing again for the first time in over a year. And I want to really start things off by recapping on where we were in regards to our Cardano investment thesis. You guys will know that we got out the market rather late, back in really the start of 2022, end of 2021, when Cardano was around about that $1. It was just above $1 sort of mark, and we said, actually, things aren't looking too good based on the macro picture. We got how the bull market, we were actually quite bullish on ADA up here, certainly after the Alonso hard fork. We expected a sell-off like you get after every hard fork, but actually it continued to sell off. And we kind of had to admit defeat around that, $1.20 to $1 mark and get out the market. And humbly take my tail between my legs and look towards the future. And essentially, we did that rather well, and we essentially mitigated another 80%-ish sell-off, having admitted that we were wrong and got how the bull market ended wrong. And we said that the only reason that we are selling Cardano was to buy back at a later date and increase our overall ADA holdings. And for the first time in a long time, that's essentially what we did not so long ago after discussing it as a group. And I did promise that I would let everybody know on the sort of free view side of things whether I'd bought ADA or not, and keep people up to date and be as transparent as I possibly can in regards to what I'm doing. Now, I haven't put everything back into Cardano. Cardano is one altcoin that I'm interested in, one crypto that I'm interested in, but this is Cardano specific. If you want to find out more about the other altcoins, we've already told you what to do. But Cardano is a bit of a favorite of mine in terms of, I think it is going to do well in the layer one crypto space. I think it has the social network effect, and we've said that actually, in regards to a blockchain and its value, it's very heavily centered around the people that use it. And I think Cardano is going to gain adoption at a really good rate, potentially in comparison with other layer ones. It already has that amazing community behind it. You know, we've got some amazing people building, to bring up the Python developers again. There's lots of amazing things taking place, and it's a blockchain that, in my opinion, is going to continue to grow. And having sort of done a lot of macro analysis, we have a good understanding that actually a lot of this price movement, not just for Cardano, for Bitcoin, for all your altcoins, for the stock market, whatever it may be, was largely attributed to the fact that the Federal Reserve and other central banks around the world, due to the sort of response to lockdowns, had to print a load of money, and everything got sort of caught up in this bubble mania. And we've actually taken out a lot of those gains that were caused from exactly that. And one reason we stayed out the market last year was because we understood the macro. We had to take our crypto blinkers off and really align ourselves with what was going on. Having been, got the bull market wrong, I want to continue to be humble and reiterate that we're not perfect. We're going to get things wrong, but we act accordingly, and sort of, try and figure this out as an ongoing thing. We don't just marry a bias. Marry your girlfriend. Don't marry, an idea. But essentially, at this point, there's many altcoins out there that are kind of at this pre-printathon level. Now, Cardano is still elevated from that, but it's come a hell of a long way from March 2020 in terms of as a crypto and as a project. And if you look at the 5th of January, where we had our initial meeting, the price was here. This is the 5th of January here, guys. The price was around about 26 cents. We did not catch the bottom, as in if this is the bottom, and I'm actually not calling a bottom for Cardano here, guys. There is definitely the possibility that you could come in and put new lows. Hence why we haven't exactly gone all in here, but we have accumulated for the first time in a long time, which should speak volumes. We have been a voice of reasoning, really, or I'd like to think over the last year, whenever we've had these kind of ranges that have formed in regards to telling people not telling people, but saying that, look, we're not investing here. These are the reasons why. Make your own mind up. We'll go over a few reasons, but I don't want to go over all of them. Why we accumulated here, looking for the long term, looking to accumulate here for a long-term position for Cardano. So the Cardano that we accumulated here isn't a swing trade necessarily, although it potentially could turn into that. It's more me selling back here was largely to reinvest at a lower price and increase the size of my holdings. So that's essentially what we've done for ADA. And we will see, is it the right decision? Is it the wrong decision? We don't know. It's too early to tell. We're humble enough to say that we don't know that this is the bottom yet, and that we need essentially something to confirm this. But to be transparent and honest with you guys, we did buy for the first time, and I showed you that Patreon video at the start, and you can go and check my Patreon out just to kind of highlight that. But a couple of things that, on the kind of sentiment that everything got caught up in a speculative mania, you're at almost like for some altcoins, I'd say it's almost like a fair value. A price that you were at before the printathon happened and all that money got sort of pumped into markets. You're at a value that maybe makes sense given how far things have came since then. And there's a few things on the weekly time frame. You guys will know that we've been highlighting this bullish divergence on Bitcoin for a while now, and saying that, for me as a technical analyzer, somebody who's a real technical analyzer, by the way, guys, not just one of these people that, put CMAs on and it just tells you where the price is. Somebody that critically thinks about markets and tries to come up with a path forward. We have said that this bullish div on Bitcoin is to be taken seriously. These don't happen often, these sort of divergences. The last one you had was obviously the top of the bull market. There are signs that maybe there's a shift. We looked at the monthly Heikin-Ashis for Bitcoin. Cardano didn't actually have this bullish divergence on the RSI. But one thing that it did do was when it put in its low at sort of 24 cents, it wasn't that far off the lows that it made at 50 cents, or actually prior to that, around about 80 cents. So it kind of showed to me that there was a lot less conviction in regards to the sell pressure. one of the things I looked at was the money flow index. And bear in mind, I'm not calling a bottom. I want to make that clear. We're just saying that we took a sort of a position in Cardano again after being out last year, which kind of shows that. And from the start of the year on the channel, we've been saying we're somewhat agnostic. We're not bears here because we think bears are very late to the party. We're not necessarily bullish. We're just looking to let the market show us what it wants to do. And the money flow index essentially shows the flow of money in and out of markets. You can see that actually, even though we were putting in lower lows in terms of price, the amount of money flowing out of the markets was anticipating. The money flow, it had a sort of bullish diversion on it, and the money flow can work just like the RSI. Even though you didn't have that RSI div, you still got the Cardano is quite a shorted altcoin. You still got the bullish div in another indicator, and there's multiple indicators that we use with price analyzers first and foremost, and then we sort of confirm things with indicators. But this was really just a video to say that we have bought. I just want to remind people that there has been time periods where Cardano has made this sort of price movement only for it to go ahead and actually go on to make new lows. Could be the case here. We're not saying it isn't. But for me, back on the 5th of January, one thing that I spoke about in relation to ADA with my Patreon was that you're at this almost sort of value that we wouldn't mind getting in at, having sort of been very patient all of last year. And with the turn of the new year, you've got things like the January effect. The kind of picture that we had, certainly one that we painted and we consistently update people on this in our weekly meetings, is we looked at the macro, which is why markets sold off in the first place. High inflation, the Fed were going to up interest rates, hedge funds and sort of serious investment players will know the repercussions of this. It's investing is all a liquidity game. Hopefully March 2020 has shown people that. And actually, I believe, and I've said this on my crypto daily show, that the worst is behind us. There still is potentially an event that could take place, but in terms of the macroeconomic landscape, the worst is behind us in terms of what the Fed are going to do. And I think markets have largely priced in the worst and where rates are going, and they can sort of, adjust from there. And we saw news like, for example, in the UK, we had a positive growth in terms of GDP. Maybe things were worse than what potentially at one point, or worse than they actually were, or worse. They seemed worse than they actually were, if you understand what I'm saying and sort of follow it. So that's the first time, and it feels amazing, by the way, guys, that we've actually bought Cardano in nearly over a year now. And I'm very happy to live with that decision. It's going to be an ever-evolving, you have to watch your positions. I believe in being an active investor. It's how people get caught out and looking for any signs and shifts in the market. Have you potentially had that shift for Bitcoin and the crypto space, and is the bull market or is the bear market done? It's too early to tell, in my opinion. There are signs there, but time will tell. We're not one of these people that's coming out here and calling a bottom. We're just saying that, back on the 5th, like we showed you in that Patreon post, we looked at sort of where the market was at and speculated on putting a little bit of money back in. The price could absolutely go lower than where we bought in. That's fine. We're prepared for that. But this is where I'm at moving forwards, and we will be doing quite a bit more price analysis and actually getting into maybe some of the smaller time frames. We will see. Seems like Cardano potentially has run into a bit of a wall here. However, it's not setting up the worst structure. You got a double top here, but you're not really invalidating this current uptrend. And actually, you may potentially get a bit of a deeper correction before continuation. We will have to see. But in terms of an investment part, the other day was the first time in a long time. You guys, again, it's a little bit late, but it's not that late, I don't think, at all. The first time in a long time that we actually bought some ADA, and I feel great having done so. On that note, guys, we do have a stake pool. The ticker is all in. We've committed to be a Cardano network contributor, despite the fact that actually, because of ADA's price, lots of stake pools have had to close down because they haven't been minting blocks and it's quite unprofitable. We're committed to continue, and we're going to be here 10 years down the line, minting blocks and helping to validate the network. So if you guys could consider staking with All In, staking with me and my stake pool All In, it would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, that's all I've got for you in this video, guys. It's a joyous time. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always greatly appreciated. So is a comment, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Have a fantastic Monday, guys. See you in the next one.